Slot machine. Organized crime has a long and colorful history which can be traced throughout the world. In the United States, both in areas that received official statehood and areas that would later become a part of the country, organized crime existed in the form of bandits, highwaymen, train robbers, and cattle rustlers, just to name a few. It wasn't until the arrival of the 20th century that our current idea of organized crime in the form of the mob emerged. And even though the mob did a lot of its work in and around cities and urban centers, it didn't shy away from going into rural and geographically isolated areas to conduct their business, to try and escape the law, or to lay low for a while. Huntington Lake saw its share of organized crime over the years. Evidence of such activity was found when the lake was drained during the winter in previous years, revealing a variety of discarded handguns. But handguns weren't the only thing found in the lake connected with the mob. Among the handguns was a discarded slot machine. The reason why handguns and other weaponry were found in the lake is pretty straightforward. The mobsters wanted to get rid of evidence in an attempt to prevent a crime from being connected to any particular gangster. The slot machine, however, is a slightly different story. When it was brought up to the lake, the gangsters intended to break into the thing and pilfer its contents. But when the slot machine was pulled out of the lake and examined, there were signs of tampering, but the thing wasn't broken into. As a result, a great deal of speculation emerged by those at the local historical society to why this was. Why did the gangsters spend all of this time and energy into stealing the slot machine if they weren't going to open it and take its contents? The mobsters clearly tried to break into the thing, but what prevented them from finishing their task? One indication emerged when those at the Historical Society had trouble themselves trying to get into that machine. It could have been due to the years of accumulated rust it obtained while resting comfortably underwater, but it was more than just that. The trouble that the gangsters faced were also what the historians had to deal with as well, and they didn't possess the same equipment and technology as we do today. With how the gangsters would have gotten up to Huntington Lake, they would have used Huntington Lake Road, which took them through the town of Big Creek. This was the time before the modern highway was constructed in the 1950s, and the center of the lake's community was centered around the western end of the lake at the Huntington Lake Resort. When they arrived at the resort, they checked into one of the available cabins and then unpacked their things. With this task completed, they started working on opening up their recently acquired slot machine. The gangsters put a lot of effort into trying to get that machine open. Eventually, when night descended on that first day, they didn't have any luck of getting that thing open, so they decided to break for the night and try again tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, and one of the gangsters decides to start working on the slot machine immediately. As he went to work on the machine, one of the other gangsters noticed that something wasn't quite right with the slot machine, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. He thinks that a slight detail had changed over the course of the night. Deciding that it was only his mind playing tricks on him, this second gangster heads out to grab some breakfast. After returning to the cabin from having some breakfast, the second gangster notices that the first gangster didn't make any progress on opening up the slot machine, but he does notice something different about it.
Hey,
The second gangster says,
did you put any money into that thing?
No.
The first gangster says, a little offended.
Why would I do something stupid like that?
Well, the slots have changed.
No, they haven't. Stop pulling my leg.
I'm serious. The slots on that thing have changed.
If you spent as much time trying to get this stupid thing open as you do making wisecrack remarks, we would have this thing open by now.
You're just angry and frustrated because that thing is getting the better of you.
Just get over here and help me.
At this, the second gangster heads over to the machine and starts giving it a shot. And this is how they spend their entire day, each gangster taking a shot at trying to open up that damnable machine. And even though they are taking turns at trying to open the thing, all of them have the same result as before. Absolutely no progress. Once again, they have to call it quits for the day, for it's getting dark outside, and they are becoming too tired to continue. That night, as all of them sleep, one of the gangsters is woken up because of some kind of disturbance that occurs in the room. As he looks around to see what awoken him, he notices that something isn't right about the slot machine. As he looks at it, the slot machine appears to be emitting some kind of light, despite the fact that it isn't plugged into any outlet or other source of electricity. In addition to the emitting of this light, the slots appear to be moving on their own accord. They are also moving independently of each other. Eventually, the spinning of the slots slow down and come to a stop. The gangster also has the feeling that the machine is watching him, as if doing so is a completely natural thing. After a short period of time, the light that was being emitted from the slot machine fades away, but the gangster has a feeling that the thing is still watching him. Because of this, the gangster has trouble going back to sleep, afraid of what might occur next. The next day arrives, and the gangster who witnessed the strange occurrence with the slot machine decides not to tell the others what he saw the night before. First, he could have dreamt the entire thing, and second, he doesn't know what he actually saw. What he saw could have been due to the altitude, the moonshine he's been drinking, undue stress, or some other thing that he can't explain. But regardless of what the cause could be, he decides that the best course of action is to not share his experience with the others. But he does mention that it might be a good idea if they just give it a rest and cut their losses with trying to get into that machine. However, the first gangster, the one who put in all of that effort into trying to get into that blasted thing, doesn't want to give up. He's dead set on trying to get that thing open. He's also reached the point where it's no longer about getting the loot, but about the principle of the matter. He wants to get into that blasted thing, and damn the consequences. Whatever happens, he doesn't want that thing to win, and he will pay for his stubbornness. As he is tinkering with the machine, and while the other gangsters are away or are otherwise distracted, the first gangster manages to lose one of his fingers due to that machine. Exactly how he loses it, no one can say or explain. All that can be said is that the finger is gone. And with the loss of that finger, the decision is taken away from the first gangster about how to deal with that damnable slot machine. The others have had enough, and the finger is the final straw. The others just want to get rid of the thing, so they decide that the best thing for them to do is to go down to the lake and throw it into the water. After they throw it in and watch it sink, they see something that none of them will ever forget, but none of them will ever mention, even amongst each other. As it sinks, it begins to glow, the slots begin to spin wildly, its arm starts to pump, it begins to blat and make other sounds, and it appears to try and make it back to the surface by tilting itself forward. With that, all of the gangsters decide that they didn't see anything, and that it will be a good idea to just head on home without ever looking back at the lake or that accursed slot machine that ate more than just one's change and never paid out.